This is the K953 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by the Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K953 Sports Show podcast. My name is Beau Standfuss. I am your host. As usual, if you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button down below. Also, right next to it is the bell. If you hit that, you will get push notifications to your phone when the new episodes come out each week. I also want to thank the Fan Zone for sponsoring the K953 Sports Show podcast. We appreciate everything they do for us. Also, in pencil, they are for next week's show. So I'm going to have both Rodney and Aaron here, hopefully for next week for the sports show. Also, continue to email me your Mount Rushmore of Vikings players at K953sportsshow@gmail.com. That's K953sportsshow@gmail.com. We'll have another new submission today. We've got first with the old person that's here today, both in years and in a usual guest. So I got my dad here. It's actually a family affair episode today. I got my dad. How's it going, Dad?
It's going good. It's good that you have the number one fan for the Vikings in Wilmer. That's okay. I'm glad to be back.
Number one fan. Yeah, exactly. And then also making their first appearance is my brother-in-law, DJ Weilage. He is here. He is going to be giving us his Mount Rushmore later. DJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Beau.
Also going on after we talk Vikings is we are going to bring in a special guest. His name is Corey Adam. He is a stand-up comedian out of the cities. He was here in Wilmer a couple weeks ago and performed down at the Foxhole with a comedian from town, Darren Chase, who grew up here in town. Came in and did his Mount Rushmore also, and we are going to talk a little more football with him also. So, but first we'll get to Dad and DJ here talking about the Eagles-Vikings game. Let's start off with the MVP.
You can call me Rolf, Okay. I'll let you call me Rolf.
Okay, well, okay. I just feel weird calling you Rolf.
Oh, okay.
I'll call you Dad. It'll be a mixture.
Okay, good.
Whatever pops in my head first.
All right.
So for MVP for me, it's kind of hard to pick just one. I would almost kind of say the defensive line is my MVP. If I had to choose just one out of the defensive line, I would probably say Danielle Hunter. We'll talk more about him after we go through the MVPs, but I just like that the defensive line showed up this week. We desperately needed that after the Rams game, where it just seemed like Goff had eternity back there. So that's my MVP is the defensive line. Dad, why don't you go ahead and let me know who yours is?
Well, my first one would be the Detroit Lions for beating the Packers. They're my MVP that week.
You mean Mason Crosby's your MVP?
Yeah. And Mason Crosby, I don't know if he still has a job yet, but I'm pretty sure he does. But it was a good week. As far as MVP for the game, I still have to go with Cousins, and I think with Thielen. I just think they really are on the same page now, along with Diggs. I still think they need to get our tight end more involved, Rudolph, but the only problem with Rudolph is when he turns to run, he stumbles. But we'll see how it goes.
Very Klein-Saucer-ish.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and for you, DJ, who do you think would be who's your MVP for the game?
I would have to say the defensive line, like you said, Beau, definitely. So,
yeah. I
mean, Stephen Weatherly, Danielle Hunter, Linval Joseph, those guys finally showed up. It was good to see. So,
yeah, no, definitely. And, just Brandon Hunter, for the fans of the sports show who have been listening since the beginning, I kind of called out Danielle Hunter at the beginning of the year saying, show me something, because I felt that even though I agree that his talent was so amazing and that his future is amazing, I was like, well, they paid him money finally. Now he needs to show up after he had a down year being the full-time starter last year. So let's just kind of take a look at let's see his stats yesterday. He had the one sack, he had a tackle for loss, 2 total tackles, but then quite a few hurries. And like I mentioned, I called him out for the season-wise, and he has answered. through 5 games, he's got 5 sacks. So he's got 1 sack every game. Actually, he averages a sack, and he's gotten 1 sack every game. He hasn't gotten a 2-sacker and a 0. It's 1 sack every game. So he's already 2 sacks short of what he got last year. He had 7 sacks only. That's huge. His solo tackles, he's already up to 19. He only had 27 last year.
Yep.
His total tackles combined were at 45, and he's already at 23. So 5 games in. 7 tackles for loss this year, 12 last year. Quarterback hits this year, 6. Only 11 last year. So to say that I am very, very happy, especially when we needed him to show up, and I'm kind of wondering if him moving over to the right side with Griffin gone is maybe made a little bit of a difference for him too. If maybe he might be a more traditional right side pass rusher, but with him stepping in for Griffin not being here, that has made a huge difference. Because if Daniil wasn't playing like this and Griffin was gone, I think it would have been even a longer game on Sunday. What are your guys' thoughts on Hunter?
Well, I think he's just still a youngster. I can't even exactly remember how old he is, but I think he's only like about 25, isn't he? Or maybe he's not even that. Maybe he's only 23.
I think 23, yeah.
But I mean, he's still a youngster. I'm just impressed with him so far this year. He is fast. And I was also kind of impressed with the linebackers yesterday. They were covering really well yesterday too. But when the linebackers can cover well and the corners can cover well, we've got a rush, and that's what we need. We need to be in there in that quarterback's face. And I'm always preaching, and Beau, you've heard me several times watching the game. I'm not sure these guys are after the sack, that they just to get to the point where they just got to get their hands up and start blocking that ball. So that's my only critique of the defense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Hunter is 23. He'll turn 24 October 29th. So he'll be turning 24 this month.
He is just a youngster.
Oh, yeah. He should have 10-plus years left at least. DJ, your thoughts on Hunter as a whole, or just the D-line?
Oh, Hunter's been great this year. He's on pace to hit 16 sacks if he doesn't get any double-digit sack games. I mean, he's just exploding onto the scene. Like you said, Beau, maybe moving over to the right side. I mean, most quarterbacks, are confident in their offensive line, but most defensive ends still aren't as quick as Daniil Hunter. Oh, yes. He could play linebacker if they need him to.
Well, there was that one play in the game on Sunday where they did where they motion where it looked like it was going to the left side of the defensive line, but then he handed it off and the guy went to the right, and he tried to run around Daniil Hunter in the open field. And it's kind of like, have you ever watched tape on Daniil Hunter before?
Yes. And the announcers even made a statement about that too.
Yeah. So. You're not gonna outrun him around the edge like that, especially when he was ready for it. He wasn't leaning one way and got juked out of his way. I mean, he was ready for the play, and he knocked him down quickly.
And Weatherly looked pretty good yesterday on Sunday too. I think he was doing a good job too. I mean, the whole front four where they're putting that pressure on that we need to make that quarterback hurry that throw, so we don't have to have them sitting back there looking their one receiver, number 2 receiver, number 3 receiver, and all of a sudden number 4 receiver, and they've got him. Because you can only cover for about 2.5 to 3 seconds, and then after that it's a what can I say? A shot. It just doesn't make
the percentage goes up for
the percentage goes really up to in
there. Yep. Yeah, no, and of course, big Linval with the
Tumbling and bumbling.
Yeah, running all the way down the field. That was, I think Madden is going to have to redo his speed on the game for you Madden players out there. I mean, that was deceptively fast. I mean, I was kind of like, oh, geez, Linval's got it. Oh, they're going to catch up to him, and they didn't even get close after that one block was laid out.
Ajayi was the closest one. I mean, going back to Weatherly, he was the one who got in there to make that happen. I mean, he got double blocked. He just plowed through him. So.
Yep. No,
overall, I'd give the defense I would give them an A-.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
Yep, they had, let's see, I was looking at some of the stats. Of course, they had 3 sacks this week. Linval, Weatherly, and Hunter, 5.5 tackles for loss. At the Rams, during the Rams game, we any of those.
Well, we got a couple of turnovers, a couple of fumble and
the turnovers always make a big difference.
Did they classify the one with Lindvall was a fumble and not a pass?
Yeah, they called it a fumble.
They did. Okay.
Yeah. It just looked like a pass the way
I see that on the stats now.
And going back to Hunter, I actually read something. He's the 8th player in NFL history to record 30 sacks before turning 24. So that's pretty good for a guy his age.
Yeah, no, he's an athletic freak, that is for sure. Let's kind of go on to the offense and to the O-line. The O-line, they did well enough. I feel they did take a little bit of a step back from the Rams game. I thought that the first half of the Rams game they were brilliant, and even into the third quarter. But then in the fourth quarter is when Aaron Donald got going and
Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh and their right end. But even for this one, I felt that they definitely they gave up more they gave up less sacks, but they gave up more quarterback hurries and more hits on Cousins. He was getting it off still. He was just getting it off just in time. So once again, I suppose, it's how you look at it. Were they just getting them hits because they were holding it longer and he was just getting rid of it just in time, or how that worked? But the O-line still was better. The run was better overall.
We've got to start cracking that run. We have to get some run because we're not going to be able to pass all the time. We're going to wear Cousins out by the time we're on about the 11th game. His arm's going to be nothing but a noodle unless we start getting a running game that breaks over 100 yards or more in a game. So and as far as the O-line for the game, I would give them probably a B-. Yet I still think they just making Cousins get a little too nervous back there. But he made a statement after the Rams game that that he maybe held the ball a little too long and a couple of times too. So he's got to learn to let it go too.
Yeah, he looked a lot better this game, Cousins. He didn't hold on to it too long. But Brian O'Neill coming in definitely helped. I mean, with Hill moving over.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Reef was out with an injury until I saw somebody comment on my Vikings fan page on Facebook, MN Vikings fan page on Facebook, and I didn't realize that because I was calling for Hill to be benched because he was just getting ran around in that first quarter, and I was like, put in O'Neill. Then I saw him in there, I was like, oh, sweet, they listened to me. Well, no, Reef got injured, and Hill went over the side. But they did look better after that.
Yes, they did. They did.
Yeah,
O'Neill, I think, is I really think he's earned himself a starting spot. I really do. Hill seemed to be better on the other side.
And I think that's the fact of he was going against Chris Long too. He's not going against the Brandon Graham or the Aaron Donald. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're facing their second defensive end, it's a little easier to block. And then O'Neill came in and blocked Brandon Graham. I mean, one of the better defensive ends in the league. So
yeah. And we mentioned rushing. We had 23 carries for 77 yards. Murray, of course, most of this was towards the end of it when we're kind of running the clock out, but he had 11 carries for 42 yards. Diggs with 25 yards rushing. Rock Thomas got in there for 8 yards. Of course, he had the drop lateral it ended up being. That kind of hurt us there. Boone only for 1 carry. I'm kind of surprised there. I thought Boone easily won that backup to Murray.
During the preseason?
Yeah. I thought
so too. Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised to see Rock out there more. So I don't know, maybe he's doing something in practice that we're not seeing that's giving him the way to start or to play in front of Boone.
Well, I'm pleased to see all our backs are able to catch the ball. I mean, we can pass the ball to our backs. That was the ding on AP. He was a beast running the ball, but he had rock hands.
He had a nice catch last night in the game.
Well,
now he's
ran down, but then he got
injured.
Now
he's catching. He got injured last night?
His shoulder, dislocated shoulder.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty much.
And it was on that play. It was on the pass play.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
see, he wasn't supposed to catch the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So and I don't know anything else. Well, we can talk about Thielen a little bit more. He obviously, I was surprised by this, that the stat that came up, how he is the first receiver ever in the modern NFL era to go the first 5 games with 5 straight 100-yard receiving. I mean, no
I was-
Ross,
Yep.
no Rice, no Carter, no Megatron, no Julio Jones, no Antonio Brown. None of these that you consider to be the all-time greats.
No T.O.
Or, yeah, no T.O. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So yeah.
So I would that blew my mind. Blew my mind.
Then it throw a old name out there, Steve Largent. You know.
Yeah, definitely Steve Largent.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the
With the yeah.
he held the record before Jerry Rice. So
Yeah, he had to stick him on his hands all the time.
Yeah, it just that stat amazed me. I would have never guessed. Of course, I've mentioned before I was not a big fan of Thielen at first, and I thought they should cut him. So I'm constantly eating those words. But I mean, you take a look at his season so far, he's already up past half of his receptions from last year in 5 games.
He's 5 yards behind Hopkins. Houston.
Yep. So is he tied with receptions with Antonio Brown?
Yes.
Yeah, he's tied with
receptions. Yep.
Yep. So I'll just say it right now. I don't know how many people will agree or not, but he's better than Diggs.
Oh, I think so. As far as his hands, I think his hands.
If you had to choose only one, would you take Diggs or would you take Thielen? Dad?
Well, I think Thielen runs better routes than Diggs does. I really do. And I think he may have better hands. But I think I wonder if Diggs is a little faster. I'm not quite sure. But, boy, I tell you, when Thielen gets that ball on the open field, on that 68-yard pass, I mean, how many yards did he run after the catch? Was it like 30, 35?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, and then he's moving. Yep. He's moving down the field.
Yep.
I would probably say Thielen. And like when we faced the Rams, there's clips of all the players saying who they looked like from their teams of the past, and Adam Thielen is the white Chris Carter right now.
Yep.
He is literally that.
He'll go in the middle, yes.
I mean, he is the Chris Carter of this generation.
Yep.
Well, it's good, and it's good to see that both Diggs and Thielen, on third down plays, they're in the middle catching maybe that 4 or 5 yard pass to that first down. I mean, years ago, it was 3rd and 5 or 6. Chris Carter caught the ball, first down.
Yep.
But now we got two good hands receivers, and we got some speed.
And I think with Diggs, Diggs is just, I think, a little more athletic. That's kind of the difference. He'll have better moves in the open field. I feel once he catches the ball. But yeah, no, I think I would almost take Thielen because I mean you can find guys that come down the field, but it's amazed me. It's a true. It's just an awesome story that Thielen has done, and that's I don't know what more to say about him, but as far as any final thoughts on the game, did you guys have anything else? I think we covered our bases pretty well.
I really
DJ?
liked Treadwell again. I mean, he's
go.
looking
That's a good
good,
point.
Yes.
especially with him trucking to get that first down. I mean, he's showing
That
he
he
wants to work, and Cousins is not afraid to throw him the ball. That's a true testament to him being the leader of this team.
No, I'm glad you brought up.
Yep, Treadwell has really improved since that game. He dropped all those passes. I think that was a Green Bay game, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think he's maybe dropped 2 since then.
Yeah,
He's been
he
thrown
dropped.
in.
He dropped
one
maybe a
yesterday,
couple
too.
after that.
Yeah.
but-
Well, that one again yesterday I don't think it was his fault. I think he got interfered with a little bit there.
Yeah, but he's showing improvements, and that's what we want. And I think he's feeling the heat a little bit from the guys behind him. But let's go. Well, one final thought. Brandon Zylstra got his first chance with the ball in his hands. He had that short punt, and he had like a 9-yard punt return. So the local boy at least makes an appearance. They haven't got him in there on any much for routes, and they haven't thrown him the ball, but. That's where he needs to start and get his
on special teams. That's the way Thielen did. I mean, if he can go just the way Thielen is, I mean, just think about it. We will have Zylstra, Thielen, Diggs, Treadwell.
We'll have to see what happens. Well, let's jump on to the Cardinals game. Do a quick preview of this and what our thoughts are on that. Then we'll get into your Mount Rushmore, DJ. For the Vikings to win, we just need to play smart ball. I'll kind of combine both what needs to happen for the Vikings to win and what needs to happen to the Cardinals to win. For the Cardinals to win, they need to do what the Bills did. They need to come in and just punch us in the mouth right away.
Turnovers.
And hope, and hope we're on the back of our feet, and then they can just push us over more.
Yep. Get Cousins out of his rhythm. Get him jittered right away. That's the only way they can win.
Well, make us one-dimensional, which we have.
I mean,
been.
I believe we can run the ball against them. They're 31st in the league against the run. They're 13 against the pass. If we can get the run game going, we can integrate the pass game with the play actions and all that. So,
yep.
And I'm glad they won last week, so they're not coming in 0-5 and they're 1-4. So I'd rather have a team that maybe just won one game. It's still the next two games are, and I should have said it when I think it was reviewing the Buffalo game. It's these are trap games against these lower teams that are coming in. They want to win. They like to bump off everybody. So Vikings just have to.
We got to punch them in the face. We got to play smart. We got to punch them in the face. We can't let up.
Yep.
It's their job to stop us.
Well, they showed on. I think it was on Channel 4, or was it? I think it was on Channel 4. They showed the pep talk that Cousins gave right before the game, and that. He needs to do that somebody needs to pump everybody up.
And that's going back to him being the leader of this team.
Yep.
We missed that with Everson Griffin too.
Yep.
He was one of the leaders.
Yep.
He was the vocal of the team. So Cousins, I think, needs to step into that role right now.
Yep. Yeah, and he did last week. Speaking of Cousins, I just want to take one shot at the Redskins. How stupid are they? Watching the game last night against the Saints. And seeing Alex Smith out there, I'm like, how? And you wonder why the Redskins are arguably one of the worst franchises over the last 20 years. Because they let somebody like Cousins, and they're like, hey, let's get Alex Smith. Yeah, he can't throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field, but let's get him in here, even though we've got, thank you. Thank you, Washington Redskins.
Thank you for going for him, yes.
For being stupid.
Yeah.
And being a horrible franchise and allowing us to get Cousins. Because if it wasn't for your guys' stupidity and lack of knowledge, football knowledge, we would not have Cousins right now. We'd be stuck with Case Keenum, who isn't doing anything in Denver either.
Who's Washington's coach?
Oh, it's Gruden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Jay. The Gruden family is having a rough year.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I just want to congratulate Drew Brees too. I mean, I know not a lot of people like Drew Brees, but breaking the record,
you can't argue with it.
I mean, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation, mine and yours. So.
Well, the Vikings passed on him because of his shoulder. They were going to sign him,
and the Dolphins. So,
so we can eat a little crow on that deal, but
but who knows? It might have been just a perfect marriage between him and Peyton.
Yep,
Sean Payton. That makes all the difference. Well, let's got a little off topic there, but that's all good. Let's go back to final score predictions for the Vikings Cardinals. Dad, go ahead.
35-10. 35-10 Vikings. I don't think they're going to be able to stop us. We just got to come off the bus and we don't even get off the bus. Everybody drives to the stadium, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think they even get off a bus. But anyway, they just got to come out and play hard. They got to punch them in the face right away. We got to make it some turnovers, and it'll be hopefully I would like to just sit nice and relax and have my Bloody Mary and don't have to worry about it.
I agree. Those games are definitely more enjoyable. DJ, what do you got for final score?
I'm going to say 24-10. I mean, it's not as much as Rolf would like, but I think they're gonna be a little bit better against the pass than the Eagles were. We need to get the run game going, so that's all I'm saying. We need to.
Well, we also got to make sure we keep Larry Fitzgerald. He's amazing. He's one we got to really watch. But we got a rookie quarterback again, so I just don't like to have the rookie quarterback come out and show our defense up, and that's what I don't want to see.
Which will bring up, that's I think it's going to be 31-17. I think they're going to score a little bit more. Probably a garbage touchdown, maybe. I worry about David Johnson just because he is still.
It's David Johnson.
Yeah, and I don't think our run defense has been great either. So this will be our best test. Obviously Gurley is Gurley, so we held him okay. It wasn't.
They didn't need him though.
They didn't need him, and that makes a difference. So that's I think 31-17 with probably a garbage field goal or touchdown in there.
I think Larry Fitzgerald has been playing hurt too, so that might help us too. He's not 100%.
He is not 100%.
Yeah, he was dropped in my fantasy football league.
Really?
I was surprised. I was like, that's Larry Fitzgerald. Come on, give him He's got some.
I'm holding on to him.
Yeah, exactly. You put him on your bench. I mean, he's
If
starter
he's
cred.
If he's healthy, he's good for at least 5 or 6 catches for at least 100 yards.
Yep. Well, that's enough for previewing the game. Let's get into DJ's Mount Rushmore. DJ, who do you have on your Mount Rushmore of Vikings players?
I'm going to say Paul Krause, just like you did, I believe, in the first podcast. Or was it you or?
It was one of the announcers.
Yeah. I'm going to say Paul Krause. I mean, 80 interceptions, 81 interceptions
81.
back in the day when they really didn't throw it in short seasons.
Yep.
So I mean, that's just outlandish.
Yeah, 14 games. Well, actually, we started at 12.
Yeah. I'm going to say Chris Carter. I mean,
Yes.
one of the greatest, helped a few generations of receivers.
Yep.
See, that's why I wore my number 80 jersey yesterday when the Philadelphia game was gone. So I wanted to insult him a little more.
I'm going to say AP. I'm going to say for at least almost 6-7 years, he put the team on his back. He was our star player on offense. Especially the year he ran for 2,000 yards, the game he ran for 296. That was all in the second half. I mean, that was all him.
Yeah, he was a freak. I did see the story how we talked about how when he retires he wants to come back and sign a 1 day and retire as a Viking. Come on back,
Class act, right
when
there.
you have a player like that and they want to come back and retire with the team, you do that. So I'm happy to hear that. So you got Krause, you've got Carter, you've got Peterson. Who do you got as your fourth?
I actually did a little research on this. I'm going to go Keith Millard. I don't know if you remember him. Millard, yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
18 sacks in one season as a defensive tackle, 2-time All-Pro back in the 80s.
Yep.
I mean, that's just a little crazy. Especially
I remember Tommy Mason, too.
Oh, yeah, you are ancient, so.
Yes, I am.
But yeah.
Proud of it,
Millard,
too.
there you go. Millard has had a few mentions.
Okay.
As in people that are like, oh, I thought about putting Millard in, but I didn't. So I think this is the first time he's been officially on.
It was either him or Kevin Williams. I mean, Kevin Williams had 60 sacks in his career. Millard had 59. So, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, for a defensive tackle, you don't see that, especially a true defensive tackle, not one of these hybrid defensive tackles that you see nowadays.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a great Mount Rushmore. Those are 4. Once again, I don't think I'll ever complain on who people put on their Mount Rushmore unless it's like Spurgeon Wynn or something.
Spurgeon Wynn. I didn't think I think they need to be checked into a mental hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they definitely. If somebody put Spurgeon Wynn on it, they'd never be allowed on the show again. Plain and simple. But so yeah, that was great Mount Rushmore.
Who was the South Carolina wide receiver we had?
Troy Williamson.
That'd be another one.
Yeah, that'd be another one. Yeah, exactly.
I wish they didn't have enough. Neither one had enough stats to even get on.
Maybe that's what we will do next year. Maybe we'll do
The
Bust Rushmore. Bustmore.
that.
Mount Bustmore.
Yeah, there we go.
We talk about the 4 biggest busts for the Vikings.
That's gonna be rough.
Mental note for next season. Mental note for next year. So, well, guys, I think we're going to cut it off here with ours. We've got the Corey Adam interview that I did a few weeks ago, and we talk more Mount Rushmore, and we talk more about his 4 people, and we have some funny stories and great. Corey's hilarious, and it was a good 20-minute-ish interview with him and I. So definitely we'll hit in with that, and we'll kind of go from there. Thanks, DJ. Thanks for making it your first time.
Thank you.
Dad, as usual, thank you for coming in.
Skol Vikings.
Skol.
Yes. Skol. So here is the Corey Adam interview. All right, we got a special Mount Rushmore here today. We have comedian Corey Adam.
Ooh, special. You're going to make me Mount Blushmore. Huh? Pretty good.
Maybe I'll take the comedian after that joke. Just kidding. No, so Corey Adam, you're a comedian out of the cities.
I am. I am based out of Hopkins, which is right Minneapolis. But yeah, I'm Twin Cities grinder, baby.
Nice, and you've been all over the world.
Yep, I've performed in Mexico, Iceland, Ireland, Japan, all over the place.
Nice,
and Dubuque. Huh? Scenic Dubuque.
Hey, Dubuque is beautiful, I'm sure.
It's not.
No.
Way better than Iceland, man. Let me tell you. Way better. No.
And I'll give you a little plug. You've got comedy albums.
I've got 2 comedy albums out right now. I have another one coming out this winter. Actually, probably in the spring. But Corey Adam Comedy is my handle across like all social media, like Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Like if I'm on there, it's Corey Adam Comedy. And the album Jokes was #1 on iTunes in March. The No Jokes album was not, but it's still good.
Maybe because there's no jokes on it.
Yeah, well, it's just all crowd work. It's fun. I like that album a lot.
Oh no, I do love your crowd work. Of course, that's how we met when you were in town. You were making fun of my shirt.
Peps, man, that was one of my favorite crazy shows that I've ever done. Like it was such a like crap show, but just wait, can we cuss on this?
PG.
Okay. Wait, is it on the air? Are we screwed?
No. You said crap show. That crap is okay.
But I can't say S show.
Yeah, I'd stay away from
all right. It was a total crap show, but that's what I like. Is I like when comedy gets crazy and you can just get crazy back because you guys are like people get like loud and stuff, and I'm like, give me some beers. These guys aren't gonna hate me as much as I hate me. I'm not scared of them. I'm from Hibbing, man. Like it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, no, it was a fun night. I enjoyed it thoroughly. You had some great stand up, and I like your album too. I've listened to pieces of it.
And, good. Yeah.
So it's very good. So please check out Corey Adam wherever you can on any of the social networks.
Especially if I'm walking in front of you. Check me out, ladies.
Exactly.
Also, shout out to Eric Miller Scooby, who's probably going to be there tonight, but my buddy that lives around Wilmer, so he'll probably hear. I almost said Ilmer. Yo, what up, Ilmer?
Nice. Well, let's get into Mount Rushmore.
All right.
Huge Viking fan.
Yo, love my whole life.
Nice. Who do you have as your for Mount Rushmore? Give me their names. Give me the reasoning behind them.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Well, so first thing, you and I were talking about this before we recorded, but I was surprised at how many times this list changed. I really was, because you think of. Like when you first asked me to do this, I jokingly told you 4 Zims because I do think this is the year we win the Super Bowl. When I was looking at the list, I was really trying to hone it down, and one of the things that I did as a precursor for me was that they had to be playing when I was alive. Because I can't go back and choose between like Browner and Page and all these people that. With the Purple People Eaters and stuff that were just so good, but it was before my time. I was born in 1981, so I just never saw it. And don't get me wrong, I love Fran Tarkenton. I've watched even Cap, I've watched all these old highlights of stuff, and it's great. But for me, I had to stick in my lifetime. Yep, so that was just kind of a precursor that I went into. So my 4 are, it's got to be Adrian Peterson. I don't know, I think. Across the board, if anyone's not putting Adrian Peterson on this, they're lying. It's just there's no way you could. The guy, if we had a better coach that year, he would have broke the single season record. What's his Frazier, right? Yeah, Leslie Frazier. Frazier should be writing AP an apology card every year because that season he basically made him go baby gloves for the first 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
And he gets stronger in the second half of the season, but whatever. So AP has got to be first. Second is probably Randy Moss. And that one was really hard for me because it really comes down to Randy Moss or Chris Carter, if we're being honest. But for me, I have to look at not just, it's the Viking Mount Rushmore, but the players are on there even if they did stuff on other teams. And the thing about Randy Moss is that he was on the team that scored the most points in NFL history twice. Twice. Yep. And his rookie season, the freak, there was this raw athleticism in him that I've never seen. The only person and Jerry Rice was probably still the greatest wide receiver, but as far as just pure, the only person I've ever seen even close to that was Megatron. Just jump up and just overpower and overclass people and making a miss. And I think that a lot of the times when you look at the stats, people are more prone to fall into the Chris Carter wagon just because, this and that. But you got to look at, for me, you got to look at the impacts of it. The guy was on 2 teams that set scoring records. Yep. That has to be the thing. And I think he had the most touchdowns in a season one year, as a stat. His stats are loaded, but his rookie year, there were points in that 98 season where literally people were coming off of a double team on Chris Carter. That's what they were doing.
Exactly.
They were like, oh man, we got to triple cover Moss. Like, we better peel one off of Chris Carter. You know what? Just leave Reed, Hands of Stones in the flat. Doesn't matter. It's fine. We have to cover Moss. And so he gets in there. My third one is probably Jared Allen, and I admit that that's probably just purely my fandom for him. Like, he was just one of my favorite players ever. I mean, he almost set the sack record. I mean, he's 0.5 sacks away from the record, but if you look at his numbers, like, they were just so consistent with us the whole time. Now, if we're going by just numbers, I mean, yeah, you can make the argument for Randall or Coleman. I mean, these were all great people, but none of them had that cool little rope steer after a sack. Like, me and my buddies always used to joke around because he looks like he's making cookies. I made cookies. Everybody gets some, and he just arms open, and it just
mixing the bowl.
I loved everything he was about. I even loved when he retired and he put up that video of him as a cowboy riding away. I'm like, man, I am gonna miss this guy. And so
great
for
personality.
So for me, it has to be Jared Allen. And nobody in the history of the NFL did more with one single forward bull rush. Like, he didn't have a swim move. He didn't have any block off the slots. He would roll you down. And if you put two people on him, he would roll both of you down.
Yeah.
It was just how he was. It was awesome. And then the fourth one was probably the hardest for me because I think I feel like I covered running back. I covered wide receiver. I don't really feel like there was a quarterback in my lifetime that merits that. Now, maybe give Cousins a few years. I really like Cousins. I think that he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback for a while. But the thing about it is, like, when you look at the franchise as a whole, our quarterbacks have been trash. I mean, even Brett Favre, we got him at the twilight career point. You look at Fran Tarkenton is about it from a franchise standpoint. So I was like, but again, it doesn't fall into my rule. So I was sitting there talking with my roommate Nate, and I just tell him, like, yeah, I got to go do this Mount Rushmore thing, and I can't decide on the fourth one because, Randall, Coleman, like, I know I'm leaving these guys out. It's never going to be Robert Smith, so shut up about that. But I think the guy that I really like latched onto, and I will put on my fourth, is Antoine Winfield. And I feel like a lot of people are going to miss out on putting him on lists because what that dude did is he immediately took a team that sucked and basically said, check it out. We're going to be known now for hitting wide receivers and making them pay. You're going to catch. I mean, I don't know that I ever saw a defensive person hit the receiver harder than Antoine Winfield. And he, to me, was the start of this whole transition into what our defense became under Zim. But when Chili was here, they were more focused on running the ball with AP, and like they didn't really care. But the thing about Antoine Winfield is he just brought this thing, and it's just when you're trying to put people on legendary positions like the four greatest, you can go by numbers, and that's fine. We can all stack stats and numbers and this and that. But for me, it's impact on teams. And we are a team now that even today, we are known for our defense. And I think if you go back, like when Dennis Green was here, we were known for our offense. And the big pivotal transition point to that, I believe, was Antoine Winfield. And I don't know that I ever saw in my entire life one defensive player come here and make so much of a difference. And I'm not trying to belittle Barr or Smith or Rhodes. I love those guys. I think this is the best defense we've had since I was alive. But the thing is that Zim came in and it was just cogs being plugged in. But there was this transition to just like, no, we're going to be about defense. And that all started with Antoine Winfield. And that dude brought it every game. And I think for me, it was really important after talking with my roommate about it to really make sure he got on there because I feel like a lot of these episodes are probably going to be similar. Everybody's going to have AP. Everybody's going to have this or that. But I don't know that Antoine Winfield makes it on a lot of people's Rushmore, but he deserves to be there.
Yeah, no, he made it on one.
Did he really?
Yeah, every week I tell people to email me, K953sportsshow@gmail.com with their for Mount Rushmore, and one of the listeners wrote in and they did Antoine Winfield.
Yeah.
And so we touched on it a little bit during the San Francisco Viking preview.
Sure.
When we were here, we talked about it a little bit just for a snippet, but I agreed. I agree with what you said. I loved how we just kind of snuck him away from Buffalo.
Yeah.
Also, we kind of flew in under the under night.
Hey, Buffalo, look over there. The Jets are coming. Yeah. Come on.
Exactly, and just his hitting his run support.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just he brought this element of like, let's hurt the offense. And that's just not something we had. I mean, obviously we did with the Purple People Eaters and stuff, but as a kid that grew up, I was born in 81, so I was probably, I started following football probably when I was like 7. So we're talking from like 88 on. There was never these definitive, like just defensive moments for me till Winfield came. And it changed the whole complexity to the point where even when Frazier comes in, even when Zim comes in, like they're dealing with this infrastructure that's already there. And to me, it all started with Antoine Winfield.
No, I agree. He was a beast. I like your list. Jared Allen. I mean, you can't argue with Jared Allen. First time he's been mentioned.
Really?
But yes.
But he made cookies, and everybody gets some. It's my favorite thing ever. Me and my buddies used to go. My buddy Gus that died, he was a comic, and he's one of my favorite people on the planet. He had season tickets. And so me, him, my buddy Chris Maddock, my buddy Gabe Noah, all comics, looking to him, very funny. We used to go to the game, and we would get just plowed. And that was always the thing, is we'd be like, come on, Ellen, and we'd just be screaming. And I think it was either Gus or Chris that came up with it, but it's, I made cookies, because you watch, he looks like he's stirring a cookie jar. I made cookies, everybody gets some. And so every time he'd get a sack, we'd just be yelling, cookies! And so I think, like, for me, with Jared Allen, again, like, you look at the numbers, and you can make the argument for sure, but I think a lot of this list for me was my heart.
Yep.
It's not the numbers. Like, yeah, I like the numbers. Yeah, let's stack the numbers. And I challenge you to. I mean, you want to say that Chris Carter's better than Randy Moss? I'll hear that argument. I don't think it's the case. But the numbers, you can stack that up. But nobody made anything funny or feel. I mean, straight cash, homie. You know, like stuff like that. And even for me, like when he came back and he caught that one touchdown from Brett Favre, it was like, oh, that's awesome. You know. And it's just, I think it's important to remember. Especially if you love a team like you do, like I do, like we clearly do. Like when you love your team, there has to be more that goes into the top 4 than just stats. Yep. And that's where Winfield gets in. His stats are great too, but it's not the stats aren't why he's there. It's because he changed the whole atmosphere of the defense. And for Jared Allen, yeah, the stats are there. If I was going purely off stats, it would probably be Dolman, though, to be honest, if we're going strictly by that, or Randall. I feel like those guys had more of their prime years in Minnesota. Because, you know, I mean, like Allen had his prime here for sure, but he also was really good in Kansas City.
Yeah, he was solid.
Yeah, and he even went after that to, like, the Bears, and, like, so he did, like, a roundabout for a while or whatever.
I think Bears, but maybe Carolina.
The thing is, like, it's these moments for me that really define fandom, is just, like it's me and my buddies drunkenly going, cookies! He made cookies and everybody gets some cookies! So I just couldn't not have Jared Allen on there. And I feel he deserves to be on there anyways.
Yeah, no, I was at the season where he almost broke the record. I was at the Bears game, the very last game.
Oh.
And there was times I was kind of like 10, 15-yard line on the lower half, and there was several times on that side where the Bears were going the opposite direction, and he was getting so close. Every time he got around the left tackle, everybody would be like standing up going, yeah, and then he just missed him by just and I was like, oh. So yeah, that was cool. It was so close. But yeah, no, I like your answers. Moss, obviously, I mean, he's Randy Moss.
I've been getting a lot of flack. I've been telling friends of mine about this because, like, it's weird whenever you're doing a top 10, but, like, with Mount Rushmore, it's a top 4. That's even harder. But you always want to, like, especially because, you know, this is going out to people, you know? I don't want to look like a complete weirdo and, like, oh, man, what is this? Why did this guy say Rich Gannon 4 times? Ugh, you know? Like, I don't want to be that guy, you know? But what was weird to me is how much pushback I got on AP and Moss. It was just weird.
Why, yeah,
I think AP is more because of the kid beating issue, which I don't condone that. Screw him. I'm glad he got back on the football field so I can forgive him. That makes me part of the problem. I get that. I don't care. But the whole thing is, like, Adrian Peterson was maybe the top 5 running backs of all time.
Yep.
I mean, it's like I feel like any list where somebody doesn't put AP up on there. And again, Randy Moss, like, Chris Carter was there. So again, I understand people with their heartstrings because Chris Carter was the second best wide receiver in the league forever. Yep. I mean, if your name wasn't Jerry Rice, Chris Carter was a better receiver than you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Art Monk. You're not that good. What up?
Art Monk.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to hear that today.
I feel like you did deep down inside.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, you know, everybody has their own way of coming up with their Mount Rushmore. You know, you had yours where it was, you know, you had to been alive during it.
I just don't know how I would go through and rationally, like, stack these people that I haven't seen, because for mine, the emotions go so much into it, you know, because as a fan, I mean, like, I could have put Diggs up there just for the Minneapolis Miracle last year. Like, it's just, the thing is as a fan, it's those emotional moments that you're like, yeah. And so for me, it's like I can't I can't leave off Allen, I can't leave off Winfield, I can't leave off Moss, and I can't leave off AP. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, no, I'm more of a numbers analytics type of guy. So that's so that's for my
what was yours?
My 4 was Page, Tarkenton, Carter, and Moss. So I put both Carter and Moss on there, and I put Page and Tarkenton because, like I said,
I mean, Fran Tarkenton is the best Viking. Like, there's not if you're going by anything, and the only reason he's not on mine is because I wasn't alive when he played.
Yep.
But the thing about Fran Tarkenton that people just never understand as a numbers guy, you look at his numbers. That was a rushing league. Nobody was passing the ball. Exactly. And his numbers are almost comparable to today when it is nothing but a passing league. It's insane. And I can't even imagine what it would have been like watching Fran Tarkenton in his prime, knowing the environment of the NFL then where it's just you pound the rock. That's all you did was you pounded the rock. And here comes this dude like, hey, check it out. You guys are going to hear about this Marino guy in a few years, but he's going to be trying this stuff.
Nice save.
It was a nice save, right? I do radio every Thursday morning, and they don't have a dump button, so I've become very good at grabbing my curses and saving them. Spiral.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate
of course, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is a blast, and thank you. I mean, as somebody that's a member of the Viking fan page that you run, thank you for doing that because I feel like Facebook is so divisive and the internet is so messed up right now. You got all these people with like politics and all this other stuff. And I think the way you moderate that site, that it's just Vikings fans, and you don't like what's interesting is I've seen you come down on people, but it's never because they have a bad opinion of football. It's never been about that.
Yeah.
It's about there being a jerk here, they're self-promoting, or they're just, they're Packer fans that are all there just to be jerks. Right. I mean, one of my favorite things was like 2 or 3 weeks after I joined, there's this person that was just spamming some stuff, and then he got blocked. And there was a thread of like, hey, what happened to this guy? And you posted no Packer fans. And I was like, oh, yeah, Skull, baby. Ooh.
Heck yeah, man. No, I've enjoyed running that page. Once again, for people listening, that's Immin Vikings fan page on Facebook.
Also, I do feel like I should formally apologize for not calling you a Viking fan that one time.
No worries. You didn't know any better.
I really hate those words.
Yes.
And you will. They tasted like a Gary Anderson kick. They're just wide into the left of my stomach.
And you'll eat them even more when you come over after this and see my Viking
I'm excited to do this, and this is great. But I've seen the gifs of your home with the I cannot stress enough to you how I'm only in this for the Viking man cave. That's the only reason I'm here.
No, that's awesome, man. Also, thank you once again for coming in, giving me
your Thanks for having
Mount Rushmore.
Me,
thank you for listening. Thank you for helping me promote as you have.
Course,
I appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this too. I think this is a really cool thing for Viking fans, and especially it's interesting for me when you're like, no, you're the first person to say Antoine. I'm like, what? That's crazy. But it's fun to hear because everybody's connected to the team in a different way. And I think a lot of the times, Minnesota, we get this reputation of being fair weather fans, but it's not the case. We're just pessimistic. We're like, we're not going to win. But if somebody shows up with a Packers thing, we could be 1-2 where that Packers suck. Exactly. But thank you so much. This is great, man.
No, thank you for coming, man. I appreciate it. And let's get out of here so you can come worship at the man cave.
Ooh.
Well, that was the Corey Adam interview we had. We had a lot of laughs. So definitely check out his comedy, Corey Adam Comedy. For all, if you want a good laugh, I'm listening to one of his CDs right now while I'm driving around. And he's very funny. But as usual, thank you to the Fan Zone for coming in, or for sponsoring. And actually, speaking of coming in, thank you to the Fan Zone for hopefully coming in next week. We're looking forward to having both Rodney and Aaron on next Tuesday, as long as it works for them. If not, we'll get them another Tuesday. But thank you guys for listening. As usual, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. Hit the thumbs up button that you like it. Share it on Facebook for all your sports-loving fans. We'll see you guys all next week.